This week you should be finishing your literature review number 1, so will be your main focus for the week. But I also want to introduce you to literature review number 2. Before I do that, I'm going to give a quick overview of the revision policy. I sent this out in an email several weeks ago, but I want to remind you that if you've gotten below an A on a paper, so 89% or below, you are welcome to revise for a higher grade. So you can choose one of the first 3 major papers, the literacy narrative, the rhetorical analysis, or literature review 1, which you'll be turning in this week, and your new grade will replace the old one. But in order for me to even be willing to regrade it, you have to meet a couple of requirements. First, you have to meet with me to talk about what you should focus on in your revision. This doesn't have to be in person. It can be over the phone or in a conference that I set up on Canvas. And you have to do a substantive revision of your paper. So don't just fix a few sentences or fix the works cited page. You have to fix a lot of things in the paper. It has to be substantively different from what it was before. Before it is ready to turn in, once you've done some revisions, I want you to take your paper to the Writing Center to get feedback. If you don't live here in Utah, if you can't access the Ogden or the Davis Writing Centers, send me an email and I will come up with an alternate option for you. And then along with your paper, so once you've done all of your revisions and you have taken it to the Writing Center, you have to turn in a 1 to 2 page explanation of your revision process. So I want you to talk about what you changed, why you changed it, what you learned at the Writing Center, or how your perspective on this paper or this genre and writing papers in general is different now that you've done this revision. You need to turn this revised paper in before the last day of class, so before August 13th. You can either turn it in, you could probably turn it in a hard copy if you wanted to, but most of you will be emailing it to me. Don't turn it in over Canvas because I might not see it and then you wouldn't get your new grade. So just email me a copy, or if you do turn in over Canvas, email me to let me know that you did that. Okay, so now that you have already written Literature Review 1, you should have a pretty strong idea of what the genre conventions are of a literature review. You should have also read a couple of other people's papers when you did peer review, and so that would have likely helped you. And I gave you an example to read on Canvas, which would have helped you as well. So going into this new paper, you're probably not going to feel nearly as disoriented as you have with previous papers. A lot of you gave really good explanations of the genre in your genre study assignment that you turned in a few weeks ago. There are a couple of specific requirements that are different in the literature review too. Instead of the 5 to 7 pages that you wrote for the first literature review, you'll be writing 8 to 10 pages. So for some of you, I know that this might be the longest research paper you've ever written, and others, I know it's not. But for all of you, I would say don't put it off till the last minute. Do pieces of it on several different days, whatever works for you and your goals. This paper will need to have 10 sources total, so at least 7 of them should be scholarly, and this says 2, but it is actually 3. So you can have 3 substantive sources, 7 scholarly, and unlike the previous literature review where you did have some options of what you wanted to talk about, but not very many, you only had 5 choices, you can choose your own topic. You will likely, because you're thinking, oh, this is a 10-page paper, you will likely choose a topic that's pretty broad, and I want you to narrow it a lot more than you might think. And so that's why I'm going to have you turn in a topic proposal, and most of you can expect that after you turn in your topic proposal, I'll say, you need to make this more narrow. And I will give you some suggestions on how to do that. For a review on if you aren't sure what scholarly sources are or what substantive sources are, or you want a review on how to use the library, don't forget that I made a video about that topic a couple of weeks ago when I did the Intro to Lit Review 1. That was June 5th through 11th, so you can click on that video and review a lot of the conventions and the scholarly versus substantive sources. Now, as you're thinking about writing Literature Review 2, I have a couple of questions for you to consider. First, how will you show audience awareness? How will you establish ethos? How will you appeal to pathos? So even though pathos is not going to be the primary rhetorical tool or rhetorical appeal that you use in this paper, you will be using it somewhat. So how are you going to do that? If we were in person, you would have a discussion with groups in the class. But since you're at home, I just want you to take a minute and think about it. And that can help you as you start to prepare to write the paper. Okay, so one of the things that I noticed in Literature Review 1 is on the day the rough draft was due, I actually got a couple of different or several emails from people who were writing their literature review and didn't realize until probably the day it was due that they were actually going to have to write a 5-page paper and to do a bunch of research. So I want to give you a heads up in advance that Literature Review 2 is your homework for every week, basically, for the rest of the semester. So your topic proposal will be due on July 16th, and I will talk more about choosing a topic and narrowing your topic in the next video, but I'll take just a minute now to tell you some things that you should not do. So the first thing that sometimes students want to do is that I don't want you to choose is don't choose something that's out of date. You want to choose a topic that is a current controversy, and it has to be one that you can find academic sources about. So as I talked about earlier this semester, each argument or each debate starts in the fact or definition phase. What is this topic? How do we define it? Then it will progress to the quality or the value phase, where it's talking about is this a good thing or a bad thing? How does it affect us in our daily lives? And then once there's kind of a consensus about whether it's good or bad, then it progresses to the policy phase, where you start to talk about what we're going to do about it. How should we fix it? So if you start out with a topic and your original idea is that you're going to do something in the fact or definition or even the quality or value section, you might start researching, or I might tell you as a response to your proposal, well, this has already reached consensus. What you'll do is you'll talk about the next stasis. You'll talk about the next phase. So say you wanted to say, I don't know, that, I'm trying to think of something that has already reached consensus. If you want to talk about junk food and you want to say that it's unhealthy to eat junk food or something, maybe all of your sources that you find say that has already reached consensus. We already know that junk food is healthy, or that it's unhealthy. Woohoo! Then you'll want to progress to the policy. Okay, what kind of policies should we institute? And this doesn't necessarily have to be legal policies. It can also be like personal policies. But since this is not a personal essay, everything that you talk about has to be something that somebody else has presented, and you're just summarizing it and explaining how it relates to or how it's similar and different than other policies that people propose. So make sure that your topic, you're talking about it on the right stasis, and that it is a current debate. Another thing that I want you to avoid talking about hot button political topics. A lot of my students when they think about writing a research paper on a current topic, the first thing they think of is hot button political topics. So I have people saying, oh, I want to write about gun control. I want to write about abortion. I've even had students say they wanted to write about immunization policies. These, although they are current, they are not a good topic for this paper because there is so much information that I have never seen any student adequately cover one of these topics in an 8 to 10 page paper. And often they have a hard time presenting them in an unbiased way. I had a student last semester who feels really passionately about vaccinations and that they're bad. That was not a good topic for a few reasons. First, although there is a group of people in the general public who feel strongly about this, it's not currently a debate in the academic world. So this person ended up using almost no scholarly sources because they were all on one side. And this person also had a really hard time being unbiased. In fact, they were not unbiased at all. They were totally biased. They only presented their side. And it was not the right genre for this paper. And so don't do something like that. It needs to be something narrow enough that you can research and talk about in 8 to 10 pages. And it needs to be something that you can present in an unbiased way. So I've also had students in the past want to talk about things like race relations or gender issues. And I am fine with you talking about those things, but you have to choose your topic and your purpose in a way that you are unbiased, that you're not writing an argumentative paper, that you're writing literally just a summary of everyone else's ideas. And so that's why I usually suggest that my students choose something that maybe they have some interest in, but that they haven't decided what their opinion is, or that they are not so heavily invested in one side that they'll feel comfortable researching both sides and presenting a literature review instead of a persuasive paper. So those are some ideas on topic selection. I'll talk more about that in the next video. But your topic proposal will be due July 16th. 1 week after that, you'll have to turn in annotated bibliography. That means you'll have to find all 10 sources that you want to use. And I'll make a video about how to write an annotated bibliography. But basically, you will need to have all of your sources and write a 4 to 5 sentence explanation of what each source is about. 1 week after that, so this is going to be a really busy week because research is hard. But then once you've done all your research, you're going to have to write your draft. So your draft will be due July 30th, and you will turn it in to me and it'll be assigned for peer review just as we've done with the other papers this semester. So peer review will be the next week, and then your final revision will be due on the last day of class. At any point in the next month or so, I'm happy to help you with questions or give you ideas, even help you brainstorm. So please email me. Don't forget that I am here to help. I'm not just here to grade. Okay, and the other thing that I am just going to remind you about really quickly is that this week you'll have to do a reflection from your literature review. And here are the questions, but I'm going to let you read these on your own. So you can either pause the video here, or you can see these questions on Canvas in the assignments section under reflection number 1. So there are quite a number of questions for you to answer. And hopefully, according to scholarly research, the reflection phase, the mindful phase of writing a paper is actually where you learn the most, and it's where you solidify your learning so you can transfer it to other papers or other tasks in the future. So don't blow this off. This is one of the most important things that we'll be doing during this class. So I wish you good luck with your writing, and as you start to work on your next paper. Thanks.